Hi everyone, Lewis here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys some more information for the DayZ Standalone. Unfortunately this week we don't actually have any images, but instead we've got something even better than images. A video, a moving image, it's amazing. So this is actually the first ever video released for the DayZ Standalone, and this one covers a few different things. It covers first off the UI found in actual menus, not the UI inside the game, because that's not implemented, or at least it isn't inside these videos. It shows the customization of the characters a bit more. It shows some new locations, some new biomes, that kind of stuff found in the Schnorris Plus map. It shows off the looting system, the new looting system found in DayZ Standalone, and finally it shows off the interiors of buildings in action. The full video was actually 15 minutes long, but I'm just going to be showing you guys the highlights and the things which really interested me and we didn't talk about in the video. And of course, as usual, I will look at the dev post at the end, as well as talk a bit about the Steam integration for DayZ Standalone. This is all of course still a work in progress, so I doubt the main menu in the final game is going to look anything like this. So the main thing we wanted to highlight right here is the character on the right. You're probably wondering, how is the character there generated? It's actually based on the last character which you played on a server. So say for example you had an AS50 and like a ghillie suit or something, your guy with a ghillie suit and AS50 would be standing there. So it just gives a bit more of a personal touch. When you first launch the game, you can see the character which has been playing for a long time. There is also a possibility of adding stats to the main menu eventually, but as you can see, there's no stats on the main menu as it is right now. Right, so looking at the options menu, you can see most things are actually the same as they were in Arma 2, but in a different organization. You can see on the right, the volume menu is the same as in Arma 2, but with less options. The video menu, which I'll show you in a few seconds, is the same, and all that kind of stuff is more or less the same as it was in Arma 2. But a few things which you can see which are new compared to Arma 2 is first off a field of view slider, which is going to be useful because you could change it before in Arma 2, but you'd have to do it through a config file, which just was a bit of hassle, so it's cool that it's in the slider now. And you can also see the perspective option, which I'm guessing you can change between first person and third person, so that way when you join a server, instead of having to press the enter button on your numpad every time you join, you can just pick whatever you prefer and go with that whenever you do join a server. Other than those two small changes, there's not actually anything really significantly different about the options menu, other than the entire structure is of course different, so it's easier to access the things which you want to access. So there's lots of sub-menus instead of having one massive menu for all the video settings and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, skipping all of this, Rocket doesn't actually show the server menu, obviously, so the server doesn't get DDoS and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to continue on now onto the part where they show off the customization for the characters. So most of the information we'll find in this segment is stuff we already knew, but you can see the actual process of taking gear on and putting it off. You can see Rocket is the guy who's recording the video, and beside him is Matt Lightfoot, who in this case is Rocket's little assistant for his experiment. You can see just beside Rocket there's some gear on the floor. In the final version, or even the alpha version, the gear of course won't just be as if someone's already in it, but it's on the floor and it's not actually anywhere near. It's going to be, for example, for pants, it's going to be folded or it's going to be messed up on the floor. So gear isn't going to be spawning like that. It is eventually going to be changed, so it's different to how it is on the actual player. So right here is a little video of Matt spinning around, showing off his sexy attire. We can see the shirt, which we've seen in many of the screenshots before, the red hoodie. We've seen that many times before. It's not really anything new. And of course, those who didn't know already, there's going to be multiple slots for like the shoes, for the body armor, for the shirt, for the jacket, for the pants, for the hat, all that kind of stuff. And you can also see on the floor beside Matt, there's actually some body armor, which is going to go on top of your jacket as well and provide some extra armor. There could be different versions of these jackets. Rocket did talk about it a bit more in depth later, basically saying that there could be, for example, jackets to stop you getting stabbed. So maybe if you're having some hatchet wars, or maybe you can get a knife in the game to stop you getting stabbed as easily. You can get obviously bulletproof jackets, you can get all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see that you can put multiple layers on, and depending on your game style, you could, for example, take a jacket which might make you run slower. I'd imagine it would make you run slower, and you know, lose the camouflage compared to a ghillie suit, which you wouldn't have the jacket on to protect you from bullet fire, but of course you'd be camouflaged and you'd be able to run a lot faster. So it just depends on how you really want to play the game. So this part shows off Matt with now a blue hoodie rather than a red hoodie. He just changed it quickly, and with an armor jacket on as well. Again, like I said, there's nothing new here. It just we get to see how it works in action. We don't actually get to see the inventory menu either. Otherwise, of course, I would be showing you guys that. So it's not really anything too interesting here, but now it's time to get into the interesting stuff. So now we start off showing some things which you haven't actually seen in the original Schnorris map. Of course, this is still based on Schnorris, but it's called the Schnorris Plus map. This is an example of a new area you're going to find, which is the swamps. It's not as if you're going to find any high-end loot right here, or at least how it is right now. You can see there's not really any buildings or any lootable places from what I can see. But it is going to be interesting and mix it up a bit. Say, for example, if you're running all the way up to Starry Sabor up north, you might find a swamp on the way there and have to traverse the swamp. So that's going to be interesting to see how the terrain changes. Not really sure where all the swamps are going to be. You can see this one's actually on the shoreline, so I'm not really sure if it's going to be any far up north. But I'd imagine there is going to be a few of these locations found around the map. The swamp actually looks like a pretty good place to hide items in. In the original DayZ mod, you'd simply put down a tent, put your valuables inside that, hide it in a bush and hope no one ever finds it, but 9 out of 10 times, people would eventually find the tent. So it'd be interesting if you could maybe put a structure inside the water or somewhere around about the swamp which you could hide all your valuables in, because people aren't going to expect to find any high-end gear in a swamp. So not only do we get to see the swamp area, but we actually get to see something which a lot of people might recognise from the original Arma 2. Which is the UTES map. You can see right here, this is actually UTES found on the shore of Shannara, so people have actually got a reason to use boats now. Maybe you could make a base over here. Of course, this has got the airfield. It might be changed, but right now you can see over there in the distance on the right there is still the airfield found on UTES, so it's kind of interesting that they've incorporated a massive island onto the original Shannara's map. It's definitely going to be some place which is going to have some high-end gear, because like I said, it is an airfield, so it's going to have barracks, it's going to have some hangars, that kind of stuff. So anyone who finds a boat early on has got a massive advantage. We can go over to this place pretty safely, assuming that no one's over there, and get some awesome gear. Also, people with helicopters have actually got an area to explore. In the original Shannara's map, wasn't really anywhere of interest to go for helicopter. And beside the UTES island, you can actually see there's a normal Shannara's island there as well, so I think it's somewhere in the bottom right of the map. So the next part shows off the interiors and also the looting system found in DayZ Standalone. This is actually on the western edge of Chernigorsk, as you can see from the buildings behind Rocket right now. And looking inside the building, it's not really something we haven't heard of before, but it's cool to see it in action. Basically, you're going to find items underneath beds, inside refrigerators. You're going to find them in places you won't expect. So if you actually want to get some good loot, you're going to have to scavenge places. Instead of just going inside the house, seeing some piles of loot and just saying, I want this loot or I don't want this loot, and then you just leave and go to the next house, you're going to have to look in places that people aren't going to expect. And maybe if a lot of people even loot one place, there could still be some really good loot found inside the house which is just well hidden. Something which you can actually see here, which Rocket didn't talk about, is windows. It's something which lots of people have wanted, because in the screenshots all the windows have been smashed. Although you can see when Rocket goes outside, all the other windows of the buildings are smashed. I'm guessing this might indicate that the final version of the game might have windows, because it was something which lots of people wanted. Rocket said it just wasn't possible or would take a lot of work. So hopefully windows will be in the final build of DayZ Standalone, as we definitely do add lots of gameplay. If you see a smashed window, you know there's been some players fighting, or there's a player near, or maybe a zombie attacked it or something like that. Since this is of course now DayZ Standalone rather than Arma, you can see the interiors are a bit more messed up, and they do look definitely like they've been there for a while and they've just been abandoned, rather than obviously in Arma 2 it wasn't supposed to be a zombie apocalypse, so most of the interiors looked rather clean, and as a whole they really didn't fit the theme. But you can see these interiors look pretty awesome. You'll see this even more once Rocket does cross the street and go into our building. This is what I was talking about a few seconds ago. All the windows on this building are smashed, but for some reason they aren't smashed on our buildings. I'm not really sure what's happening with the windows, but like I said, hopefully they will be in the final build. This building hasn't actually been set up for the new looting system, but Rocket did talk about the possibility of stuff spawning inside the cupboard, on top of the cupboard, stuff spawning up on this little stairway, and as a whole, like I said, the place looks pretty awesome. You can see this is a little cafe area. He did also talk about having some things underneath the tables, underneath the chairs, as he's lying down right now, and also inside the little basin, the little sink right there. There could be maybe a can of beans or something beautiful like that inside the actual sink. Almost every building which Rocket looks at in this little demo looks like it is enterable, and since this is in Chernigorsk, it's going to definitely also add a lot to the gameplay, being able to go in pretty much every building, have some PvP fights inside there, actually have to scavenge to find some good loot. You can also see here, there's a piano with some blood on it. Don't know why the hell there's blood on it, but it looks pretty awesome. Like I said, it definitely looks lived in, and it definitely looks pretty old. And it looks like someone's already been in here because the doors are open, that kind of stuff. Something which I'm not really sure about, but it's definitely not inside this version. You can't actually open the doors inside the buildings, but hopefully in the final build also you can open and close the doors to have a bit of an advantage in PvP fights. Now going a bit further into Chernigorsk, you can see he's very close to a hospital, which is just to his left, and it's opposite of apartments, which you just seen. You can see even this little shack building over here, you can go inside, as you can see from the open door and the windows. You can definitely go inside there. You can see some smashed windows, some non-smashed windows, so still don't really know what the hell's going on with that. As you can see, Rocket can't go through a door. Hopefully the movement will be changed from the original DayZ mod, because let's be honest, the movement in the DayZ mod kind of sucks. It feels really weird, so hopefully it will be altered a bit just to make it a bit easier to go through doorways and that kind of stuff. But you can see it's got a back door, it's got a front door. It's a pretty cool house, whatever the hell this is. The streets have been redone, so they do look a bit more zombie apocalypse-esque. Since Rocket's still in Chernigorsk, just a note, but the original Chernigorsk did have a lot of this stuff, so like the broken cars, that kind of stuff, but there's just been more stuff added to the streets, so they do look a bit more lived in, similar to the houses. So this is actually the final segment of the video. You can see Rocket still walking through the streets. You can see some car wrecks, that kind of stuff, and he talks about the possibility of having loot inside the cars. Like this car to his right, there could be some loot inside there. So again, going off this motion of actually having to scavenge and find your gear. So Although in the original DayZ mod, obviously, like I said, you just find the piles of loot and see whether you want to loot them or not, and then you just go at the house. In this, you're going to have to definitely look hard for your gear. Again, some gear could be in the back of this car, could be in the passenger seat, maybe a shotgun or something like that. It's definitely going to be really awesome to loot once the system is fully finished. Right, so now onto the actual dev post, which came along for YouTube video. There's not really that much information found in the dev post, but there is a few things which we didn't know about, which Rocket talks about briefly. Some things just which I didn't talk about in the video, but something which Rocket's talked about a bit before, but not really in too much detail. But the game is going to have Steam integration, so there's going to be updates through the actual Steam client. There's going to be the possibility maybe to join friends through the Steam client, the server browser maybe done all through the Steam client, so that way you're able to see who's on the server with Steam and join people through Steam, and that's going to make playing with friends a lot easier. Also, the hacking is of course going to be something which is going to be changed a lot. There's going to be a lot of things which are currently client-side moved over to server-side, just so that hacking isn't something which people can easily do. Lots of people are put off by the DayZ mod just because of hackers, and it's definitely going to be something they are going to be focusing on, because no one likes hackers in a game, especially not in a game where when you die, you are permanently dead. Something which a dev post does talk about, which Rocket talked about briefly in the video, is actually having inventory inside your clothing. So say for example, if you had jeans on, you're going to have an extra 4 spaces inside your inventory, compared if you're running around with your boxers on, you're probably not going to have any room in your boxers unless you put something down your pants, but then volume's going to degrade, possibly, and it's not a good idea. Basically, wear jeans, because then you can have many slots, and yeah, clothing is going to have inventory slots inside it, which is pretty awesome. The next paragraph talks a bit about how they're focusing on making DayZ more of an MMO. It's something Rocket talked about in a previous dev post again, but just to emphasize it, they are making a transition over from, you know, just a shooter, open world kind of game over to an actual MMO with lots of inventory space and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely going to be very different to the DayZ mod. It also notes that zombie AI mechanics aren't finished, and that's probably why I don't see them in the video, because they're just not finished, so Rocket doesn't want to show some horrible looking zombies, so they'll probably be maybe in one of the future dev posts. And it also does actually talk about briefly a crafting system which is going to be inside the game. Not really sure what you could craft, but simply the idea of having a crafting menu is pretty awesome. The final paragraph basically says that there's going to be a lot more dev posts in the future showing off some more features found in the game, some areas, hopefully some more videos in upcoming weeks, and definitely the game is going to be coming out very soon. As it says at the bottom, it's not going to be too much longer until we can join in with the development yourself. So don't know still any confirmed release date, but I'd imagine in the next month, something like that, until people are able to go ahead and play the game. So the final thing I wanted to briefly talk about is the actual DayZ game found on the Steam client. So you can see right here the application for DayZ is now up and running. I'd imagine it's probably been called just Valve Test App 221100 for a long time, but you can now see that the game's actually got a hub, which is DayZ, which you can access right now and post videos and all that kind of stuff on it, but there's no actual game page for the game right now. If you click on Steam Store in the top left of this, you won't be linked anywhere, it won't bring you anywhere, it'll just bring you straight back to the Steam page because it's redirected. So basically the game is on Steam, and I'd imagine since it's now got a name and all that kind of stuff, like I said, it's going to be coming out very soon. Maybe for people who are in the testing, such as myself, it could be in a week, maybe 2 weeks, something like that. But since Rocket said it's going to be basically public very soon, I'm not really sure when everything's going to come out. I don't know myself, but basically it's on Steam and it's coming out very, very soon. I will provide a link to this page in the description below if you do want to check it out. I'm sure it will change as things do develop. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this week. I do say week for a reason, because now the dev posts seem to be rather weekly. There was just a post last Friday, I believe it was, so hopefully we'll see some more information, some more videos very soon. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. As usual, there will be a link to a full dev post in the description below if you do want to go check it out. Of course, the video does have commentary by Rocket and his lovely assistant Matt Lightfoot as well, so you might want to check out the video if you want to see what they say about the game, since we do say some different things. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.